So let's talk about the consequences. So the consequences of either in a conditional or an unsatisfactory rating. So with an unsatisfactory rating, we're going to talk about that more. Conditional ratings, it's the same. Honestly, the same rules apply, but with conditional ratings, you can still operate. I've seen a company in a conditional rating for 10 years. It's crazy to me that they actually don't come back and re-review within like 12 months or even 18 months. It kind of surprises me because I've seen companies be in a conditional rating for a really long time and they just don't come back. I don't know why. And with the same issues, if they look at the SMS report and the issues, they're, obviously improving, they're not getting the same violations, but I've seen the same companies be in a conditional rating, getting the same kind of violations, and they don't come back to re-investigate. So, I know they're busy though. There's only so many special agents out there, and there is a ton of companies. I think the last time I looked, there was like 524,000 companies with a DOT number. So, they're busy. So lucky you that they're busy and they don't come back. But so after 60 days, if you're a hazmat carrier or a passenger carrier, it's 45 days. You only have 45 days. The carrier must cease interstate operations. So a lot of times what that means is that if you get an unsatisfactory rating, you have 60 days to fix it. And that's it. Once 60 days is up, you are shut down, no operating, period. If they catch your trucks on the road, they will impound your trucks, and in some places they will arrest your driver. So they'll arrest your driver, they'll impound your truck, and you're kind of screwed at that point. And you have 60 days to do that. I will say, I've seen way too many companies do this, and then they call us and they ask us for help, and they usually ask us for help 5 days before something's due. Do not wait for 60 days to submit your corrective action. Do it within 10 days. If you get that proposed rating, and most of the time you kind of, I don't want to say most of the time, but in a lot of cases, we're actually able to ask the investigator whenever they leave, hey, what do you think this is looking like? Do you think this is going to be a conditional rating, satisfactory rating? What do you think based on your experience? A lot of times they'll actually answer you and they'll say, well, I'm thinking you're probably going to be in a conditional rating. But we don't know yet. Let's wait and see. The report's going to come back, and then whenever they come to do their closeout report, then that's whenever they're going to tell you their official rating. Sometimes they mail it to you. But for the most part, you can kind of tell what your rating's going to be by the time they leave, especially if you irritated them. If you irritated them, they're going to find every way possible to give you a conditional rating at the very least. I've had that happen where I'm not even going to go into that. So do not wait for the 60 days. Do it within the first 10 days. For one, if you do it within the first 10 days, you can appeal the fine. And a lot of times you'll actually get the rating, the proposed rating letter before you get the fine letter. So sometimes I've seen it happen where you get the proposed rating of, say, conditional rating, and then, a month later, or even a month and a half later, you get those proposed fines, the fine assessment. So either way, because you're going to have to write two separate corrective actions, you're going to have to submit two separate corrective actions anyway. So if you, since we're talking about you're going to get the proposed safety rating first, you kind of already know it's typically going to take a week or two before you to get that actual letter anyway. So you kind of have that first week, I would say, we'll say a week before you get that proposed closeout letter with your proposed rating. If you think it's going to be a conditional, start prepping and say, okay, this is what I think they found. Start prepping that letter and have it submitted within 10 days. And whenever I say corrective action, this is not a letter that you just write to the DOT saying, hey, you gave me a fine for all, or you gave me a violation for all these different things, that I'm fixing it. It's very detailed. I have a whole class just on how to submit corrective actions because it is very detailed. If you do not do it in the exact format that they ask you to do it in, they will deny it. And in some cases, they'll deny it and then not tell you that they denied it. They just will, I don't know. It's like they throw it in the trash and they don't ever contact you, which is very, very frustrating. Really good investigators, they actually will call you and say, look, this is not acceptable. I can't accept it this way. And they'll kind of help you and walk you through the process. But they're busy and they're not obligated to do that for you. So they're doing you a favor when they're doing that. So if you have an investigator that's actually calling you and communicating and emailing you back and forth, he's doing you a favor. So be nice to him or her. But sometimes it's like they throw it in the trash and then they never call you and tell you why. So if you do not do it in the exact format that they ask for it in, it's not going to happen. You're just going to get your proposed rating of conditional or unsatisfactory, and then it's a big drama going from there. So always do it within the first 10 days. Submit the correction, or first 15 days for the corrective action part. The appeal, always do within the first 10. An administrative review can be made at any time, but only if you're in a conditional rating. So if you're in a conditional rating, if you're in an unsatisfactory rating, you pretty much have 60 days or you're shut down. With a conditional, you don't have to submit the corrective action right away. I highly recommend it because your insurance is going to be affected as soon as you get put in a conditional or an unsatisfactory status. But say you've had this conditional rating for 4 years now, and you think, okay, my insurance broker is telling me that he's having a hard time getting insurance. I'm stuck with the bottom of the barrel insurance carrier, which I'm not going to say in this class, but I know who it is, and most of you do as well. Your brokers do for sure. But maybe you're stuck with the bottom of the barrel insurance company, and you're paying really, really high rates because of that conditional rating that you've had for 4 years now. You can submit a corrective action anytime. And I highly recommend that you do it. You just have to do it in the format they want. You're going to have a copy of that original, not necessarily the original, but at least copy of the original investigation. Because anybody that, if you call our office, we're going to say, we need a copy of the original compliance review report. We need those reports because that's how we have to write our corrective actions. If we don't have a copy, we have no idea what they fined you for or what they gave you violations for, so we don't know how to submit it. So make sure you get that. You can always get a copy of it. You call the FMCSA, you write them a letter, and you say, hey, I'd really like to request a copy of my investigation report, and you have to jump through a few hoops, but at the end of the day, you will be able to get it. So you can make that at any time, and I highly recommend you doing that, whether you're hiring a company like ours or whether you're hiring somebody else. For one, just make sure that they know what they're doing, because in a lot of cases, if you're not hiring somebody who knows how to do those, they get rejected. And then you waste a lot of your time, a lot of their time, a lot of everybody's time going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When if you just, is it expensive? It's very, very expensive. If you are super great at, putting stuff together and all the legal jargon and all that stuff together, more power to you. Send it in yourself. Or you can try yourself, and it fails, then think about hiring somebody. But it is very expensive for anybody to do a corrective action plan. I'm going to say this, and it's probably going to sound really bad, and I'm not, whatever, it's going to sound however it sounds. Be very careful on consultants that you hire. If you hire a consultant to do like a corrective action plan for you, and they say, well, I'm going to charge you $1,500 and I'm going to guarantee that you're going to get, upgraded. And that's craziness. For one, any consultant that guarantees you anything is an idiot. They can't guarantee you anything. They're dealing with the feds. They're dealing with the state. They're dealing with the government. No consultant should guarantee anything. I will say we have a great success rate. I mean, our success rate is 99.9%, and I'm going to say that 1.1% just because I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth. But I never guarantee anything. I'm never going to guarantee, yes, we can do fine appeals. Yes, we, in most cases, get our clients' fines reduced by 50%, but 40%, 50%, it used to be a lot higher, but now they put caps on it. But so yeah, we can get your fines reduced in most cases, but I'm not going to guarantee that. That's craziness because I have no control over that. We can submit as much as we can submit, but at the end of the day, it's out of our control. For two, if I have a client, a new client that calls and says, I am in a conditional rating, so if this is you, here's when you would call us and here's when I don't want you to call. And I know that sounds a little harsh, but Client calls and says, I'm in a conditional rating. I don't know these people. I've never met them before. We've never worked with them before, but there it goes. We're in a conditional rating. Can you help me get out of that conditional rating? I'll kind of walk you through the process. I'll tell you, yes, it's something that we do. I will warn you in advance, it's very, very expensive. Our minimum rate, and I'll let you know our minimum rate for a corrective action plan. But we don't do corrective action plans for a company unless we actually go to your location. We have to do an on-site evaluation of what's going on in your company. We go through every single violation that a company's received, and we make sure that it's fixed. Either we help you fix it, and moving forward, we know that you're not going to do it anymore, or we don't submit the corrective action for you. So if you